Dr. Alden Kale had everything money could buy: power, technology, global influence. At only 43, he was the architect of Neurocore Industries, the world's most advanced biotech firm. His name was synonymous with innovation, his net worth in the billions. He could summon robotic surgeons with a voice command, have molecular-level diagnostics delivered in seconds, and fly to private hospitals in orbit if needed. And yet, for all his wealth and genius, Alden was dying. It began subtly. A tremor in his right hand, dismissed at first as stress. Then came the memory lapses, dates, names, even familiar places would slip away like smoke. When he began losing speech mid-sentence during a keynote, panic set in. The diagnosis, if one could call it that, was vague. Some of the world's finest neurologists from Tokyo, Zurich, Boston, and New Eden flew in with their AI systems and Neurolab drones. Their assessments were as complex as they were useless. One said it was an accelerated form of neurocellular dissolution syndrome, a rare condition affecting neural bonds. Another called it quantum consciousness leakage, where parts of the mind slowly detach from linear time. None had a cure. The most they could offer were simulations, temporary inhibitors, or experimental surgeries with horrifying risks. He burned through teams like oxygen-50 doctors in all. Each arrived with promises, advanced diagnostics, and custom algorithms, only to leave defeated. Their failures haunted Alden not just because he was deteriorating, but because he had spent his life believing science could solve everything. What was the point of building mind-cloning technologies or predictive empathy engines if they couldn't save the man who created them? He isolated himself in his smart tower in Neo-San Francisco, surrounded by labs and silence. Each morning, he was scanned, probed, injected, evaluated. His assistants whispered nervously, pretending not to notice when he forgot their names. The walls of his penthouse were covered in memory mapping panels, trying to preserve whatever was left of his cognitive functions. He slept no more than 2 hours a night, afraid he might not wake up. Eventually, desperation led him to Project Cerebra, a government-backed experiment buried in the Nevada desert. It was the last card he had to play. Cerebra promised something none of the other treatments did: direct neural mapping with quantum stabilizers that could reach into the folds of the subconscious. Alden agreed without hesitation. The journey there was grim. He barely recognized his own reflection. Gaunt and pale, eyes sunken, his mind wandered in and out of clarity. At times, he thought he saw his brother's face in the window glass. Other times, he thought he was back in his childhood home, staring at the ceiling with a fever. The team at Cerebra welcomed him like a myth. Here was the man who funded half their tech, now their most urgent patient. They prepped him for full immersion: skin-mounted quantum tags, cerebral coolant packs, and a neural lens that would record his thought waves in real time. Lying on the platform, surrounded by machines more intelligent than nations, Alden felt a strange sense of irony. All his life he'd pushed for progress, broken barriers, digitized the soul. And now, with his neurons fraying like loose wires, he was trusting those same machines to rebuild him from the inside out. But as they initiated the transfer, the unexpected happened. A portion of his neural pattern became unstable, an emotional firewall no algorithm could penetrate. They tried digital decompression, memory alignment therapy, even direct electromagnetic stimulation. Nothing worked. The system flagged the error as emotive lockdown, unresolved trauma detected. They had mapped every memory, every neuron, except one. Something hidden deep inside Alden's subconscious, something he had buried so far down. Not even the most powerful technology on Earth could reach it. And so, with his empire behind him and his mind falling apart, Alden Kale found himself face to face with the one enemy he could not outspend or outsmart. His own humanity. The air inside Project Cerebra was colder than Alden expected, not just physically, but emotionally. It was a place where people spoke in numbers, where eyes rarely met, where the human soul was treated as data waiting to be decoded. The facility itself was buried beneath the Nevada desert, encased in layers of metal and memory shielding to prevent even the faintest leak of quantum information. Alden was led down sterile corridors lit by pale blue strips that hummed softly with every step he took. Even in his weakened state, he recognized the hum as subsonic vibration meant to keep brainwaves in sync with the eye systems. Everything here was designed to control the mind. The director of Cerebra, Dr. Yannick Varel, greeted him at the core chamber. Tall, angular, and seemingly carved from logic itself, Varel wasted no time on pleasantries. "We are ready," he said. "Your neural scan will begin in 16 minutes. The construct is pre-stabilized," Alden nodded. Words were getting harder to hold on to. It was like trying to catch smoke with trembling hands. His speech had become slow, deliberate. He remembered once being a dynamic speaker, a commanding figure in every room. Now he had to concentrate just to say, "Do it." Cerebra's main chamber was a sphere perfectly symmetrical, pulsing with pale light and surrounded by floating slabs of data glass. At the center was the quantum harmonic bed, a device capable of syncing brain activity with a quantum field generator. The purpose was to isolate and map consciousness in real time, and possibly even relocate it temporarily to a digital matrix. While physical repair was attempted, as Alden was lowered into the bed, neural threads began connecting to his scalp, spine, and temples. He felt a deep hum low at first, then vibrating through his bones. The ceiling opened, revealing the spherical array above him, thousands of nanolenses and particle receptors. Aligned to read every fluctuation in his mind, the scan began. Almost immediately, a 3D model of his brain flickered into existence above the platform. On the holographic display, bright pathways of neural activity pulsed in sequence. The system mapped them, logged them, and started decoding patterns, but then came the anomaly. A region in his left temporal lobe small at first started blinking red. The machine faltered. The diagnostic AI issued a warning: emotional core disruption signal fractured. The lead technician looked puzzled. "It's a block," he muttered. "Something's locked him out of his own neural architecture." Varel stepped forward, examining the data. "His memory web is corrupted at an emotional source point. The system is detecting something non-linear, irrational even. Guilt or trauma, but amplified far beyond standard emotional markers. They tried everything. Subconscious stimulation through memory triggers, direct injections of emotional recall peptides. Even machine learning empathy simulations. None of it worked. Every time they approached the locked region, the quantum model of Alden's mind glitched violently, sending shockwaves through his vitals. "It's like part of him doesn't want to be cured," one technician whispered. For hours they struggled. The AI estimated only 68 hours of cognitive cohesion left before full mental disintegration. And they couldn't go further without solving the anomaly. Varel turned to Alden. "There is a part of your memory resisting all intervention. We cannot proceed without accessing it. But whatever it is, it's not something machines can unlock." Alden didn't answer. He could feel it too, like a door inside his soul had been welded shut. Every time they neared it, his body tensed. His heart raced. He didn't know exactly what was behind it, but he knew it had to do with his brother. A name he hadn't said in decades. A face he tried to forget. The medical team began to lose hope. The AI's prediction changed less than 60 hours now. If they couldn't breach the firewall soon, his mind would collapse entirely, and that's when a low-level technician spoke up. "Sir, there might be another way. It's unconventional." Varel narrowed his eyes. "Explain." "She's not a scientist," the technician said. "Not even a doctor, but she's different. People say she can reach places no machine can. She helps people remember, feel." Alden barely heard the words, but somehow they brought him comfort, they brought him Lana. The diner was a fading relic from a time before chrome cities and hover lanes tucked at the edge of a dusty Nevada town where stars still pierced the night and jukeboxes still played music with heart. Lana Miles worked the morning shift, pouring coffee and humming to the old songs. Most customers didn't notice her beyond the quick smile and the warm voice, but those who stayed longer felt something different, like her presence calmed the static in their minds. like the world slowed down around her. She had no degree, no certifications, and certainly no knowledge of quantum neuroscience. What she had was something subtler, a way of seeing people beneath their surfaces. Years ago, she had tried music school, but life hadn't let her finish. Now she played guitar outside town on weekends and listened more than she spoke. There were rumors she could help people remember dreams they thought lost. Others claimed she once helped a man with PTSD speak again after 10 years of silence. Lana never took credit. She just listened. Alden Kale stumbled into the diner on a whim, or maybe it was instinct. He had taken a short leave from Cerebra after a failed stimulation session left him vomiting and disoriented. For the first time in weeks, he wandered outside alone, no guards, no scanners. Just a dying man who wanted a cup of real coffee and a moment where he didn't feel like a malfunctioning machine. He sat in the far corner booth, shivering slightly under the heat lamp. Lana approached without hesitation as if she had been expecting him. "Rough night?" she asked gently, setting down the menu. Her voice had a strange warmth to it, like a song without music. Alden glanced up, startled. For a moment the tremor in his hand stilled. "No offense," he mumbled, "but I'm not really in the mood for small talk." "That's okay," she replied. "Sometimes silence is louder." He blinked at her. The sentence hit something inside him, though he couldn't say why. She returned a few minutes later with a fresh mug, placing it quietly in front of him. Then she sat down across from him, uninvited. Something about her made that feel perfectly natural. They didn't speak much. She asked no questions, made no assumptions. But her presence had a grounding effect. As he sat there, Alden realized he hadn't felt this stable in weeks. Not since the disease began stealing his coherence. A few tables away, a technician from Cerebra, watching from behind a newspaper, took careful note of what was happening. He had followed Alden, worried he might collapse in public. Instead, he saw something remarkable. Alden's pulse slowed, his posture improved, and when he reached for his cup, the tremor was barely visible. Back at Cerebra, the footage stunned the researchers. No injections, no scans, no neurostims. Just a conversation, and Alden's neural activity had improved by 17%. The anomaly hadn't been triggered. In fact, the emotional firewall had slightly softened. It was inexplicable. Varel was skeptical at first. "We're not bringing in a waitress," he said flatly. "We don't have time for folk remedies." But Alden, watching the footage of himself in that booth, made the decision himself. "Bring her," he said. "Whatever she is." It worked. Lana was approached the next day. The man who visited her didn't wear a lab coat, just a black suit and tired eyes. He explained little, but offered her a chance to help someone in a way she never had before. "You won't be forced," he told her. "But you may be the only one who can reach him." She hesitated. She wasn't a healer, not in any official sense. But something deep within told her this man, this brilliant, broken man, was being held captive by more than sickness. And maybe, just maybe, she had something the machines never could. She said yes. The next morning, she stepped into the most advanced medical facility on Earth, wearing jeans, a denim jacket, and no illusions, and Alden Kale waited for her like a man hoping for a miracle. The first time Lana stepped into Cerebra's main chamber, it felt like she had walked into another planet. Cold air, glowing walls, whispers of data streams moving faster than thought. She was surrounded by doctors, engineers, and machines that probably knew more about human biology than she ever would. And yet, none of them knew what to do with her. She wore no lab coat. She brought no equipment. Just a small leather notebook, her worn guitar, and a presence that made people lean in without realizing why. The staff observed her like a curiosity. Some were polite, others skeptical. To them, she was a placeholder in a world of precision, an untrained outsider brought in on a hope too fragile to measure. But Alden he noticed everything as she approached his bed. He looked worse than she remembered. The man she met at the diner had aged another decade in just days. Wires wrapped around his limbs. His skin was pale, eyes dim, body frail. But something flickered when she entered. Recognition, maybe. "Or relief, you came," he said softly. "Of course," she replied. "I said I would." She sat beside him. No electrodes, no monitors, just closeness. The doctors didn't interfere. They stood behind soundproof glass, watching through biometric feeds. Lana turned to Alden and asked the simplest question anyone had posed to him in months. "What are you holding on to?" He looked away, lips tightening. "I don't know." "Yes, you do," she said gently. "Maybe you've buried it. Maybe it hurts too much. But whatever it is, it's still inside you, and it's screaming." He closed his eyes. "I spent my life building machines that fix people. I thought I could outsmart death. But this thing inside me, it's older than code." Lana nodded. She took out her notebook, opened it, and began to tell him a story. It wasn't scientific. It wasn't about healing cells or mapping synapses. It was about a boy who used to sing to his brother at night when they were scared of storms. How that boy grew up, got busy, and left his brother behind during a hiking trip. How the storm returned. How the younger boy never came home. Alden's hands trembled. "How did you know?" he whispered. "I didn't," Lana said. "But your eyes told me." His breathing grew shallow. The emotional firewall the AI had detected was pulsing now alive. Lana reached out and touched his hand. The monitor spiked. The core anomaly in his brain began shifting, slowly, unfolding. Then she did something none of the scientists had expected. She brought her guitar into the room and began to play not complex music, just soft, slow chords that seemed to follow the rhythm of Alden's heartbeat. And then she sang, not a song from charts or radio, a lullaby, wordless, pure tone. It wasn't beautiful in the polished sense, but it was honest, raw. Her voice cracked in places. But Alden listened like it was the last sound on earth. And then he wept. For the first time in over 30 years, Alden Kale cried without restraint. Not tears of pain, tears of release. The kind of tears that carry shame, guilt, love, and memory all at once. The AI detected it instantly. Emotive lockdown, disengaged neural stabilization. Active consciousness web rebalancing. The color returned to his face. His neural pathways, once corrupted, began to glow again on the quantum display. The emotional block was gone. And the system rebooted the transfer process. But this time it worked. In the control room, silence fell. Scientists, who had run out of answers, now stood frozen, watching the impossible unfold. No one spoke. Lana set her guitar down and took Alden's hand in both of hers. "You're not broken," she whispered. "You were just waiting for someone to see you?" And for the first time in months, Alden Kale smiled. Recovery wasn't immediate, but it was miraculous. Within 24 hours of Lana unlocking the emotional block inside Alden's mind, his vitals began to stabilize. Cerebra's monitors, once littered with warning signals and red alerts, now pulsed in steady, harmonious rhythms. His neural pathways lit up with symmetrical signals the scientists had never seen before, patterns not only of logic, but of emotional coherence. He was healing. The facility staff watched in awe as the man who had been slowly slipping into cognitive darkness began to return. His speech sharpened. His memories flowed freely. He recognized faces, names, moments. The tremor that had once defined every movement of his right hand had vanished. The man who had once lived in the future, who had forgotten how to be present, now sat in silence, savoring every breath like it was his first. But Alden was not the same man. He no longer asked for updates on his corporations. He didn't demand reports or schedule board meetings. He stopped the countdown for the next tech symposium and ignored the calls from global investors. What mattered to him now was something different. Something quieter. Each morning, he would walk with Lana through Cerebra's memory garden, a space reserved for patients undergoing mind therapy. Trees, real ones, had been genetically designed to respond to brainwaves and light up with soft pulses of color. Alden didn't talk much during these walks. He simply listened. To the breeze. To Lana's stories. To the sound of his own heartbeat, now steady and strong. He had been to the edge of oblivion. And what brought him back wasn't a new form of AI, or a robotic treatment, or a $1 trillion medical grant. It was empathy, presence, a waitress with no degree, no algorithms, just the courage to sit with his pain and not run from it. He asked Lana why she had come, why she had said yes when she didn't have to. "I've seen broken people," she said. "Sometimes they just need someone who doesn't try to fix them, just to be with them while they find their way." That answer stayed with Alden, and so when he finally left Cerebra fully restored, his neural map stable and his cognitive scores higher than ever, he didn't return to Neurocorey. In fact, he dissolved it. The announcement sent shockwaves across the globe. The man who had pioneered AI-driven healthcare, who had shaped the future of human-machine medicine, was walking away. He sold off the patents, redirected billions into open-source research, and created something new, the Human Harmonics Project. It wasn't a tech firm, it wasn't a clinic. It was a movement focused on combining emotional intelligence, music, art, presence, and storytelling with neuroscience. It invited healers, artists, therapists, and everyday people to collaborate with scientists on a new model of care, one that acknowledged that the soul mattered as much as the body. Lana was offered a leadership role. She declined. Instead, she returned to her small town. She reopened the diner, started a weekly music night, and taught kids how to play guitar. But people came from far away to sit with her, just for a cup of coffee and the chance to talk. Not because she had answers, but because she listened. Alden visited her often. No security, no suits. Just a man, grateful to be alive, and the woman who had saved him without needing a single machine. One evening they sat under the stars, where city lights couldn't reach. Lana strummed her guitar while Alden leaned back against the old wooden bench. "You still think I'm a miracle case?" he asked. She smiled. "No, I think you're human again." And in that silence, in that warmth between two hearts once separated by worlds, Alden Kale finally understood what all his billions had never bought. Healing begins where understanding lives.